Hi, today we're going to talk about 5 crucial steps that you must know to ease frustration and decrease overwhelm while also effectively communicating your child's needs to the public school so that your child can then become successful with reading and spelling both at home and at school. I have these 5 steps outlined in my ebook right here. So here's what they are. The first phase is data collection. When you take your concerns to the school, the conversation is going to be much more productive with the teacher or the counselor or whoever you're talking to if you've collected data on how your child is doing at school. Data might be how long they're taking to do homework at night, if they're taking an excessively long time to study for spelling words, how many times you have to email the teacher and ask for an extension on their work because it's taking them much longer than their peers. How many times are they breaking down after school during reading or writing assignments? So you can collect data on your own to take and discuss with the school. I've also created a resource called the Savvy Parent Dyslexia Screener that allows you to collect data specific to areas of deficit for kids with dyslexia. But whatever type of data you have, the conversation will be so much more effective and productive if you have this when you start the conversation with the teacher. Step 2 is the referral meeting. Now, this is where you decide what areas the school is going to assess when they look at areas of concern. Now, a lot of times parents have trouble just getting to the referral meeting, right? They say there's concerns about their child, even the teacher maybe has expressed concerns. They still can't get a referral meeting scheduled. I'm going to tell you exactly how to get that done. This is how you ask for a dyslexia eval without asking for a dyslexia eval, right? If you have said to the school previously, I think my child has dyslexia, can we evaluate them? Odds are they've been told no, and maybe even told that you need to do that privately. But here's what you don't know. Dyslexia is not an educational eligibility category. However, dyslexia is included in the eligibility category of specific learning disability. So, if you approach the school and you say, my child is struggling with reading and spelling, I would really like them evaluated in the area of specific learning disability for reading and spelling. Now you're using words that the school understands and that they can do. Okay, the school knows that they can evaluate for specific learning disability. Unfortunately, many times the school doesn't know because administration doesn't do a good job of informing them that dyslexia is included in the definition of specific learning disability. Well, here's the important part. When you get to the eligibility meeting, you need to know exactly what areas to request your child be evaluated in to ensure that you get a comprehensive eval. And guess what? I have outlined that information here in my ebook. It tells you exactly what areas to request for assessment, areas, why you need them for children with dyslexia. That way you can ensure that the school is doing a really good assessment. Also, did you know that you need to tell the school at the referral meeting that you want a copy of the results before the next meeting so that you can read through it and be an active participant on the IEP team? That brings us to step 3, the eligibility meeting. This is where the team decides if the child qualifies for services under an IEP, an individualized education plan. Now, this is also the step where it might benefit you to talk to a professional to help so that you understand all the information that's in that report. Also, if the school tells you they can't use the words dyslexia in the report, they're wrong. I have a link to that information in my ebook. Step 4 is IEP development. This happens once the school team and you are included on that team have agreed that the child is eligible for services. Parents, this is where it's important to make sure you understand the information in the report. So if they're talking to you about the report, ask questions until you understand it. Because if you don't understand the information, you're not going to be able to provide good input for the IEP goals. And it's still part of your advocacy journey to provide IEP input for the goals. When developing the IEP, you need to make sure that all areas of deficit are described in the present levels of performance, because this is what drives the goals. So for example, if your child qualifies for reading, the research tells us very clearly that working on spelling or orthography also improves reading. Well, that would be a really helpful way to help with a child. But if the IEP present levels leaves out everything about a child's difficulty with orthographic representation of words or spelling, then they're not going to have a goal for that. But if you've followed the outline in my ebook and you've asked for all those areas to be evaluated, you should have all those areas of results in the report. If it's in the report and it's an area of concern, it should now be on the present levels. Okay, so everything has to flow through, and it starts with step 1. Okay, so if the present levels describe spelling as a significant area of deficit, which it usually is in kids with reading difficulty, well, now it makes sense to have a goal for it. But if they have left out information on spelling and orthographic awareness in the present levels, you're not going to see a goal for it. Also, this is a big one. It drives me crazy. I see it all the time on IEPs. Okay? A child with dyslexia who qualifies for an IEP under the educational category of specific learning disability, by definition of dyslexia, typically has high listening comprehension skills. Okay? This means they understand information when it's given to them in a way that their brain can process. It means when they're talking to you and they're having a conversation, they understand what's happening. But when it's on a printed page, they don't understand what's happening because they can't decode the words. So the focus of intervention should be on helping them learn to decode the words, not on answering WH questions and finding the main idea of the passage. Okay? If they don't have trouble with that in oral communication, we don't need to work on that in written communication. We need to work on being able to decode the information so that then our brain can process it. When I see that goal on there for a child with dyslexia, it is wasting their precious special education minutes. Now, there are some kids that need to work on that. Don't get me wrong. Okay, there are some kids, but you have to look at the data and see what the data shows to justify that goal. And it's not just because reading comprehension is low. The team needs to figure out why reading comprehension is low. Is reading comprehension low because they can't decode the words on the page, or they don't understand the information when it's given to them in a way that their brain can process? I know this is a lot, and I've got it all outlined in my ebook. The 5th step is progress monitoring. Just because the team has developed a good IEP doesn't mean your job as a parent is done. Being a part of the IEP team means that you keep up with the progress. You understand the progress. The progress that the school is reporting should match the progress that you're seeing at home. That is step 5, and it is arguably the most crucial step, because the papers can look really good. But if the intervention happening isn't really good, you're not going to see the progress. All right, so I've got all of that outlined in my ebook, and here is something exciting that's happening. When I first released the ebook, it was called "It Shouldn't Be So Difficult," because that's what I kept saying when I was going through the process with my daughter that it shouldn't be so difficult to get a good evaluation and an appropriate IEP with appropriate services. It just shouldn't be so difficult to get the school to help teach our kids to read in a way that works for them, right? So that's what I labeled it. However, we're going to be relaunching the book soon with a new title. And when that happens, it's going to become available on Amazon. And for a period of time, you will have access to the book if you're on my email list for free. So head on over to my website, join the email list so that when the book becomes available for download, it will be a very brief period of time that you'll be able to access it, and then let me know what you think about it with an Amazon review. That's all for today. Thank you for staying with me. I know this was a little bit longer video, but be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video.